Welcome to Hideaway Homestead. Today we're going to cook a recipe from some of the chicken that we have raised here on the homestead. But this recipe comes with a story. And to me, the recipe is very good. We enjoy eating these, and I've taken them to church functions and family functions, and they're just a really good, handy recipe to have in your backpack or in your back pocket. It's one of those recipes you don't have to measure so terribly carefully, and it's quick to put together. So let's get going with it, and then I will also print my version of the recipe in the notes below because I need to give credit to the person who originated this for us. This is called chicken packets, and they're handy little packets of chicken and goodies that you can take. You can eat them warm or cool. They're excellent for packing in lunches or reheating for a later meal, so we enjoy these a lot. We start with refrigerated biscuit dough. We call these womp biscuits at our house because you have to womp them on the counter. So let me womp them on the counter for you just like that. And I'm going to spread these out on the cookie sheet to prepare them. One of my packages of womp biscuits, these are crescent rolls, by the way. One of them had an issue this morning, and I couldn't get it to unroll, so I ended up just rolling it out with a rolling pin today to make it nice and flat for me. So that's what these little misshapen things are over here. This recipe came to us in a God kind of a thing. I had heard an interview with a lady on Moody Radio. She was telling about her book that she had written. It's a recipe book, and it's like meals are in the freezer or something like that. I'm going to mash these together on the seam, and that means my oven is heated. She had made this recipe book that for meals that you could cook in advance and have in your freezer to take out whenever you needed them. She suggested that sometimes you have a busy day and you know it's going to be a busy day, maybe out with appointments or something like that. And so if your dinner is already in the freezer, all you have to do is take it out and then it's ready to cook. When it's supper time, you can thaw it out a day ahead of time if you know in advance, or otherwise some of these you could make in a hurry if your day just got away from you. Another recommendation that she had was that if you need to give a meal to a young mother that just delivered a baby, or a funeral occasion, a family that's had a death in the family, or just somebody who needs a little extra help, that you could just pull one of these meals out of the freezer and you don't have to come up with something in a hurry out of what's left in your pantry at the end of the week. I'm starting with one chicken breast that has been boiled and cut up into pieces. Can you believe this is one chicken breast out of the chickens that we harvested at the house? So you might need to do a little bit more. This might end up being more chicken than I need. The other ingredient in this portion is I'm going to use a half a block of cream cheese. I've used the low-fat cream cheese before, and I've used, this is the real stuff, the full-fat cream cheese. This has softened a little bit, and I wish it had softened a little bit more. Put that out of the way. And so I'm going to mash these things together. Sometimes it gets easier if you mash them with your hands, but we'll try to do it the right way for a while. This will soften up that cream cheese. Back to my story. So I heard this lady's interview and thought that that would be just a wonderful idea. I was and am working full-time and had a family, and so I thought that would be a really good thing if I could prep my freezer. I'm cutting up some green onions. In other times, I have used just regular chopped onions, white onions or yellow onions, and I've also, in a pinch, used minced onions. I just like a little bit of flavor in here. So I did wash my scissors, and I will wash them again. These just happen to have some green onions. A couple more slices won't hurt. I enjoy onions. So anyway, I thought this recipe book sounded really interesting. In talking with a friend at church a few weeks later, named Susie Soliday, shout out to Susie, wonderful lady, she said, "Oh, I have that recipe book. I'll loan it to you." So she did, and Kevin and I took a look at the book and thought this would be a really good thing. So what you do is you prepare in 2 or 3 days all these recipes that will take you through a month of food for our main dish or main meal. So we gathered up the ingredients. Oh boy, was that a grocery haul, as they call it nowadays. This was so many years ago. What year was that, Kevin?
97.
97? Okay, so we've had this recipe for a while. You can add milk to this to make it a little bit softer, but I think we're okay. I don't bother to add salt or pepper. You could, I suppose. So, anyway, I borrowed this book, and we gathered up the groceries that were required and set aside the long Labor Day weekend that year to plan on our cooking this. At the time, way before any ideas of starting a homestead, so at the time Kevin was working at a company in town, and so the weekend would be a good time for us to do this. I'm just putting little spoonfuls of this mixture onto each square or rectangle, whichever way I rolled them out. So we gathered up all the ingredients, and we cooked and cooked and cooked that weekend. We had selected not all of the recipes, but a good number of them from her cookbook. And during that time, Kevin was having some back issues from a work injury, but he did a lot of sitting and chopping of chicken and beef and cooking and chopping vegetables and stuff like that, and I did a lot of the other work. I'm going to have to make these into squares, since I did them that way. So we got all this stuff prepped, and we had a freezer full of meals. Another meal that I really liked out of that book was linguine by Anne, and we've made that recipe, so many times, and it's so good, and you can vary that with so many different things. So anyway, stretch these that I had to roll out. We made up these recipes, put them in the freezer, and the Tuesday after Labor Day, Kevin woke up with extreme back pain, could not get out of bed, could not walk. We ended up, I just about had to haul him up out of bed. We found a cane at the house, took him to a walk-in clinic. They couldn't help him. Long story short, he ended up out of work for 3 or 4 months. He ended up having to have back surgery to take care of his ruptured disc, and he was out of commission for a long time. And wasn't that God's preparation for us, that God knew he wasn't going to be around? God knew that I was going to have extra responsibilities with the household. God knew that Kevin wasn't going to be able to help prep meals for supper. All we had to do was put these meals in the oven, get a couple of side dishes sometimes, sometimes not, and there we were, ready to go for, and actually our supposed month's worth of menus ended up lasting us for several months. And a lot of these had more food in them than what we needed for a particular meal, so we had leftovers so we could make 2 meals out of it. I think that's the story that we need to tell, is that God knew what was coming in advance and God helped us. The timing was just phenomenal for what God did. And every time I make these, anytime I make something out of that, those recipes that I borrowed from that book, every time I'm just thinking this is a God thing, and He knew the timing all along. The original recipe asks you to crush croutons, and I did that for a long time. I don't often have croutons at the house, so what I have started using are the Italian-style breadcrumbs, and I just brush these or pour these over the top just to give it a little bit of a crust. And you just saw me wash my hands, so this is okay. It gives it just a little bit more spice to the top. I like the Italian breadcrumbs. They're my secret to my beloved chicken nugget recipe, but we'll get to that another time. Then I like to spray this with just a little cooking oil. You could do melted butter. It just sort of helps them brown a little bit, I think, on the top, and it also sort of seals in those Italian breadcrumbs. So this is ready to go in the oven. I would cook it at the recipe on the crescent rolls, which should be 375. Right now I think my oven's at 350, so I'll have to adjust that. We'll cook them for about 20 minutes and then take them out and show them to you. It's been about 20 minutes and our oven timer has gone off, and so I think they're looking good. Let's pull these out of the oven and see what we can serve with them to make a nice little lunch for Kevin and I today and several days after. I have made these before with the triangle shape. They're probably prettier as a triangle, but you see the nice golden brown on here. I thought that for our lunch today we could have, since it'll be lunchtime, that we could have carrot sticks and some fresh pineapple. It makes me want to go out and plant carrots, so I think that's what I will do today. Get some carrots planted and get some more carrots from our homestead. And then also sometimes we can grow the pineapple on our homestead. This particular batch came from the store, so it is fresh pineapple though. Let's cut one of these open and just let you see what it looks like inside. Too hot to eat right now. Let's see if you can see the creamy filling. Something I thought of while we were waiting for these to cook is, you see the creamy filling? They're so yummy and so versatile. Another thing that I thought of while we were waiting for these to cook is that you could use canned chicken to make these, and I'm always looking for uses for my canned chicken. That would speed up the process if you're in a big hurry. You could sort of split the recipe if you're not wanting to make as many and use only 1 tube of crescent rolls. A lot of things you can do to vary this to meet your needs. I suppose you could make 3 tubes worth of crescent rolls and make it for a big batch. But anyway, these are very tasty, and I hope that you can try the recipe very soon for your family. The thing to remember is not only this is a delicious recipe, but it's a reminder that God knows what's coming in the future, and He's preparing us now and giving us the resources so that we can be ready to continue to thrive after stuff happens in our life. We hope that you will subscribe to our channel if you have not already. Get some other people to watch this and to subscribe. Give us some comments. Let us know how God has worked in your life, or give us some other recipes that you like to enjoy, and maybe we can try them in the future for our family. Until next time, thank you for joining us here at Hideaway Homestead.